Hello, this is Blue Star, Defender of Equestria, and this is going to be just a brief video about, well, this, The Elements of Harmony, the guidebook. I was a bit Brony Curious did a pretty good review of this already, but I think I'm going to add a few things to this. I mean, in short, this book is, I must admit, a little bit overpriced for what it is, because most of it is, in fact, the episode reviews, which, for the most part, we already know. I mean, for the most part, you probably already know the episodes and the summaries and everything and all that stuff, so you pretty much know most of what's in this book already. However, there are some pretty cool pieces of information that we don't know. You know, there's some pretty good character sketches and concept art and stuff like that. See if I can find a good example real quick. I mean, here's some things on the here's some things about like how they did the characters, you know, and stuff like that about the characters. I mean, there's some interesting things in these about like character, you know, like what were they, how did they create the characters, what was their intent with the characters, stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I must admit, I will probably find this page useful, which is basically a page of all the background ponies, because I have to admit, I don't know the stories of the background ponies. I will probably go on like Wikipedia or something and do a video about like who are all these ponies are, what are like their quote unquote backstories are and stuff that, you know, the how the fans look at them and stuff like that. Like, I know who Derpy is, I know pretty much who these ponies basically are, but don't really know much about them. Excuse me, just trying to find a good page here that I can show you. Ah, here we go. Here's a good one. We got some concept art and concept drawings and everything on this one. So, overall, this book is okay. I mean, if you paid $20 for this, that's, you know, $18-20. That might be a little over much for this, but I must say it's very well made. I mean, it's hardcover. I mean, it's beautifully done. I mean, you could hand this to a prop and you could hand this to an actor and use this as a prop in a live action show that is pretty good. I mean, I have to agree with Brony Curious that, you know, there was definitely a lot of potential that they could have done with this that, you know, would have been cool that if they had done, you know, like, if they had gotten like commentary from like the writers or a writer or something, it's like, this is what we thought, or this is a cool story that happened on this episode, that would have been cool. But I think they simply didn't have the time to produce that or anything like that. They just didn't have the time to do that, because, you know, there's 65 episodes, and even to have, you know, a writer write one paragraph of an episode about an episode, that's a fair amount of material to go over. But yeah, I mean, Brony Curious basically said that, you know, he wanted more, that he wanted it to be he wanted it to be a little bit more like a book like this. I mean, he describes that, well, books like this are normally about this size. You can see the comparison, you know. Yes, unfortunately, this book unfortunately shows you what kind of person I am. It's like, I actually got this as a Christmas present. It's like, and I said to them, dang, you know me too well. Because this isn't quite the kind of book that he was talking about. He was talking, I mean, I have another book like this, but since it happened to be in, you know, sticking out of the corner like this in one of my videos, I figured I might as well just show you what this is. This book is actually pretty cool. No, don't worry, I'm not going to go into depth or anything on this. I'm just going to show you maybe one or two pictures or something. I was trying to pick a nice one. Yeah, but this is definitely my kind of book, because it's got lots of lovely technical details about stuff. Like, oh, here we go. One of my favorites, the Naboo Starfighter. I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's got all these cool call-outs and stuff. There's actually an interest, and one of the cool things about this is that basically they describe that the chrome on the front was actually a cultural thing. At first, it was basically a radiation shield, but now they don't need this, that only ships of royalty can have chrome and stuff like that. So that's a cool tidbit of information that would have been cool if it had been in this book, but sadly there's really not. I mean, sadly, this book is not that book. So, but overall though, I still think this is a good book. I mean, if you've got the cash and if you don't mind spending it, it's not a bad book. It's okay. I mean, it's certainly. I think that there's a lot of cool. I do like commentaries from the writers and stuff. It would have been nice to have had a lot more if it had been more like that book. Like lots of details and lots of stuff. But still, this is still a good book. And I must admit, the thing that I really like about this book is that, first of all, they did something kind of clever. That that when you buy this book, it comes with this cover that sits on top of it. But once you take this off, it looks like a prop. It literally looks like a prop that you could hand to an actor and stuff like that. And it looks very much like the storybook that's at the beginning of the very first episode. And this is, I mean, I must admit, it's very well produced. I mean, you might be paying a fair amount of money for this book, but it's very well made. It's very well made. It's printed on this brilliant glossy paper and all this stuff. I mean, it's got this hard cover. I mean, it's beautifully printed and everything. It's just simply a beautiful piece of work. I must admit, I will probably use this as a prop in probably maybe a few videos or not, because it just looks so cool and I like it. I mean, I must admit, I like just putting this on my dresser and just showing how, and just having it be there. I must admit, obviously that's a pretty poor reason to spend, $10, $18 on a book like this, to be honest. But overall, I mean, it was I must be honest, I was a little disappointed there wasn't more. But what's in here is still pretty cool. I mean, and if you don't mind spending $10, $18 on this, you'll be reasonably satisfied, and you'll probably find something interesting or cool in this. So if you haven't bought one of these, you might want to check it out and look at it a bit more. But yeah, I mean, if you're expecting this to be, every answer, every question you've ever had about My Little Pony, yeah, you'll definitely be disappointed by this. But if you know what you're buying, that you're basically buying a couple commentaries and basically a summary of every episode. And not to mention, but there's also some all the song lyrics as well, which is pretty cool, and some information about the songs and how they. But if you understand that, then I would still say that this is probably not a bad buy. I mean, it could have been better, but I'm not sorry that I bought this. I'm not as happy as I could have been, but I'm still happy that I bought this book, and I think it's pretty cool. So, those are my thoughts on this book. It must admit, this ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But, anyway, those are my thoughts on The Elements of Harmony, the guidebook. So, this is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.